We go. I do believe we're live, so I'll say indeed and greetings unto you, beloved and holy friends. I'm gonna mic you up in a second. Improve our audio quality by a bit, I trust. It is nice having you friends here. I thought that I might not be able to be here today because of internet troubles. I do not particularly like having internet troubles, especially since I'm the one paying for it. All right, Joy Vive is here. Hey, Joy. I have been stuck. Joy Vive got to join me for the yoga class that just finished up, and I did technically come late for that yoga class because I couldn't get online. I see Joy Vive and Lozanas here too now. Bless your friends. Nice having you. And it really is sinking deep into my mind, this experience of the internet. The internet. It's important to me, right? But it's not important to me in and of itself. Because I was in the middle of work today, and as I'm working, my internet stops. Right? And I use a bunch of models online. I use a total of 4 different online tools for my workflow. Fortunately, I've done most of my work already. But the work I was doing today suddenly wasn't working. You know, I was doing the things that were supposed to get done, but they wouldn't finish, or they wouldn't upload, or they wouldn't show me what I'm supposed to see. And I'm like, that's strange. Why is that happening? And it was at that point raining. So the first thing that I assumed is that it's just some heavy weather probably. And as soon as the weather passes, it's going to be better again. And then I find out that my Starlink has been restricted again. Hello, kitty. You see that little hand reaching for me? The little kitty down there and a puppy too. So they restricted my Starlink again, right? There are these arbitrary rules on a Starlink that's a 60-day roaming. I don't know exactly how to explain it other than they basically want your device to stay in the country that it was issued in. And if you are outside of said country for longer than 60 days, then they restrict your access to the network. And they don't need to do that. Like literally. Right? Like I purchased the Starlink and I paid my monthly subscription. So give me internet. Is that too much to ask? Is that unreasonable for me to expect that I pay for a service and then I use my service? Especially as Joy Vive just said, I can't do my job without the internet. I can't do my job without the internet either. I can do visuals, and that's kind of the point I was making. Like, thank goodness I already have a bunch of my materials, if you will, already created. So I got to just sit down and like compile, right? I've already, in so many words, gathered all of my bricks and mortar. Hello, kitty. And now I'm just meow meow meow. And now I'm just like building houses. And technically, I don't need the internet to build houses, but in my world, I need the internet to get more bricks. I'm very angry. I'm like so peeved, right? And my mind goes down these rabbit holes of extremes. Hello, meow. This cutie is so cute. Meow meow meow. Oh, yeah, meow. It's a meow. Little kitties. You want some loving lovins? Kitty. Okay. Thank you, kitty. I appreciate you giving me some distraction. But your little feetsies are like full of mud and stuff, so I don't want you touching me. No, I said I don't want you touching me. Oh, damn creatures. So yeah, the internet and the extremes that I went to, right? So I don't know if you can notice, but the weather is pretty heavy right now. I guess I can show you like this. Right, we got some cloudy weathers. And it feels almost comical. Honestly, I'm getting angry just thinking about it. But I'm working, right? And then my internet stops working. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? Maybe it's just the weather that's getting heavy. And then I see just like definitively that my internet connection has been restricted. And I'm like, oh, okay, fine, I guess. I still have my mobile data, I say to myself. And then I continue to work. I continue to stack bricks because I don't need the internet technically to continue working. And then, I'm capable of at least sending some WhatsApps on my mobile data. I have like a few bars. And then I just hear this very close, very loud lightning strike. All right. One of those that flash. You like see the light inside and then you hear the boom, right? Like one of those. And then our our local cell tower has been struck by lightning and it's dead. Or at least right now not operational. And I'm like, "Oh, now I don't have cell tower signal and I also don't have satellite internet either. And there is literally no way for me to get internet. Thank goodness there's an internet service provider that used to provide internet to the house. And I guess they haven't switched our internet off just yet. But I had to reconnect and then reconfigure the router to broadcast that, Wi Fi signal. But if that wasn't activated, we would be in the dark right now, internetedly speaking, right? There would be nothing I could do. I was already planning on driving to town. That was my next logical conclusion. Like, I guess I'm driving to town. And if the town didn't have signal, then I was going to drive to the closest city. But what if I can't do that? All right? What if I had no vehicle on the farm? What if I was being attacked by someone and I had to call for help? What if I hurt myself and needed to get to the hospital? All of these what ifs are making me so angry because switching someone's internet off, especially if they're paying for it, should be criminal, right? Like, internet at this point has become a human right. Breathe. Thank you. I'm just so angry. I think it's because I'm paying for it, right? Like, if it wasn't that, like, they're taking my money every month. They're taking a third of my income. A third of my income per month for me to just not have internet right now. Right? Like, think about what a third of your income buys you a month. Probably a car. And imagine you pay your monthly subscription and then your car starts. Everything is working. But because you were driving your car somewhere else, now it's not working anymore. Now your car it's still starting. You can still rev it, but the gears refuse to engage and refuse to put motion into your wheels because some company said so. Some company hit buttons. Oh yeah, Now you don't drive your car anymore. Oh, you're still paying for it? That's fine. You can still keep paying for it, please. We like it if you pay for it. But can I drive my car? Nah. Now you're driving it somewhere you're not supposed to drive it. But I need my car. I need to have my car to get out of the situation, don't I? I don't know how to chillax. I breathe. So breathe. I haven't been smoking weed. I think that's also helping me get more angry. So let's see if this helps, shall we? Shall we take a moment? I sure do hope it helps. Help me think about something else. I don't want to think about the fact that my internet's not working. And like, this is not the first time this has happened. Just for the record as well. This is now the third time. It's happened 2 times before. The first time, we span our wheels, tried to figure out what happened, and it was turned off. And then at some point, it got turned back on again, like 2 days later or something. And then it was just miraculously working. And then the 7th of December, the exact same thing happened. Just suddenly restricted access. No longer allowed to use the internet. And then it got turned off. And then 2 days later, it was back on again. So that's what I'm leaning into right now, is that I'm going to turn it off again, and then I'm going to wait a bit, and then it's going to come back. I wonder if this will age well. This anger I feel, right? 20 years from now, will people look back on a moment like this and go, that was unreasonable, right? You shouldn't be angry not having internet, Mel, that you pay for, all right? Internet's not that big a deal, Mel. Or is it going to be the opposite? Will people sympathize? Will people get why this is such a big deal? Shitty customer practice, yeah. I think that's the part that I really get peeved by as well. Is the fact that not only, yes, am I paying for it, but it's the fact that I don't want to. Right? Not from the perspective of I want it for free, but from the perspective of I do not want to give a company like that my money. I do not want to give that company my money. Especially since they do not care. Right? If I was not paying them, if I've not been paying them for a few weeks and then they switch my Starlink off, then I would understand as well. This world we're in really does baffle my intellect. All right, because this feels stupid. It feels so very stupid. Switching someone's internet off just because. Enter arbitrary rule here that serves no function other than control. I take a breath again. Breathing. There we go. IT crowd fractal. Have you tried turning it off and turning it back on again? I've only tried that 3 times today, Joyviv. The first time, I just tried it normally. And then back on again, still not working. The second time, I tried it again normally after having paused my service. And then turned it back on again to find it not working. Then I hit a button that allows for the actual dish to restart. And then it like wiped again from at least the interface, the immediate interface, the fact that the device is restricted. And then it rebooted, and then it went right back to being restricted and not working. And then there's this third option where you power cycle it 5 times in a row. So you turn it off and then you turn it off. You turn it on and then you turn it off, and then you do that 5 times. And then it basically goes into this reboot sequence that is almost like a reset, where you even have to set up your Wi-Fi network again. And then I do that, and I set up the Wi-Fi network again, and then it goes back to not working. Yeah. Oh. It's gonna start working just miraculously at some point again. That's well, you can come here now and claim refugee status. Apparently, yeah, no, I've heard that too, Jovi. Apparently, there's 12,000 South Africans that have already taken up that offer. But I don't know how that works. I don't know how that works. I don't even know if there's like proper information about how that works right now. Can you tell me how the whole South African refugee status, how America made it a priority to save people from South Africa? Like, how does that work? How do people go about going to America right now? Do they have to go to the American embassy? I'm wondering. In February 2025, Dara Tra signed an executive order halting financial aid to South Africa. Yeah. Citing concerns over alleged racial discrimination against white Afrikaners. Not alleged, unfortunately. That's the thing as well, right? That's the big yikes, is that it's not alleged, right? It would be great if it was just like something we made up. I've been telling you, friends, about this exactly, literally since we started streaming. I have been telling you about this, right? And again, I haven't gotten killed yet. And we did technically go through like multiple break-ins last year. How many was it? 4? Like 5 robberies, 4 break-ins, you know. So, and I'm still alive. So like crime is bad, sure. Or like as in the crime here is bad. But at least people aren't murdering each other, you know, just cause, as much as possible. I think they've also realized that if you murder the people you steal from, then you can't steal more from them. Right? Like the fact that they didn't kill me right off the bat means that they got to steal from me 3 times more. Right? So they totaled like an extra $3,000 or $3,500 that year because they didn't just, you know, kill me right at the get-go. So in that way, maybe they're learning their lesson. Maybe they're like, maybe if we don't kill people, they make more money so we can steal from them again. All right. And I wish I was joking. I really wish I was joking. But that does seem to be the fractal. Seems to be the case. Yes. No. Particularly regarding, yeah. So there's now this thing that was recently signed in. We've shared this yesterday a little bit as well. That is expropriation without compensation. You know, which means they can legally take land from people, take anything actually from people, and give them nothing in return. Legally, they can do that now. All right? And they're saying, pointing a loaded gun at you, I'm not going to shoot you with this gun. I'm going to shoot abandoned land. It's abandoned land. Nobody is using it. Nobody has been here. It's just standing there. So now it's ours. All right? And in my mind, I can kind of see that potentially being a net good. Right? Because if abandoned land, abandoned buildings get expropriated and then gets renovated and then starts serving human beings with infrastructure and places to live, then I'm all for that. But the problem is, that's not what the laws are saying. The laws aren't saying expropriation without compensation, all of the abandoned land. No, unfortunately, no. It's just that. It's just we can take your stuff and not give you anything. The order directed the US officials to prioritize resettlement of Afrikaners through the US Refugee Administration Program. To be considered for refugee status in the United States, individuals must receive a referral to US RAP. This referral can come from the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, a US Embassy, or a designated non-governmental organization. Once referred, applicants can complete an application and undergo an interview with a US Citizenship and Immigration Services officer abroad, who will determine their eligibility. As of now, specific details regarding the implementation of this executive order, including eligibility criteria and application procedures for Afrikaners seeking resettlement, have not been fully outlined. It's advisable for interested individuals to monitor official communications from the US Department of State for updates. Consulting. Regarding the role, okay, yeah. It's important to note. Is it important to note? It's important to note that Afrikaner groups in South Africa, such as Solidarity and AfriForum, have expressed their intention to remain in the country and are not seeking resettlement. Why is that important to note? That doesn't seem very important to me, what other people's decisions are. Right? Because this is a case-by-case basis kind of thing. Literally. They just said it. Whether you're telling me that you don't want to come here or not doesn't really matter. It's whether or not you want to come here that matters. South Africa. I love this country so much. But I cannot say I love the ruling class. All right, no matter where, right? It's just in general. And I think that's the thing I'm kind of like taken aback by, is that a ruling class is now offering a hand, basically undercutting another ruling class, right? Because this ruling class has made it law to be able to undercut its own people, right? And I'm the one with the hands. Well, you come here and claim, yeah, that's true. You have to be white first off, so you check that box. True. En I'm an Afrikaner. I'm an actual Afrikaner. Ek is 'n Afrikaans pratende mens. My eerste taal is Afrikaans. Ons is goed geken in Afrikaanse in die wêreld dat Afrikaanse mense hardwerkend is. En ek glo dit in myself. En ek glo Amerika glo dit oor ons mense ook. En as daar enige rede daarvoor moet wees, glo ek dit is amper die nommer 1. Right. What did I just say? I just said that I am proud to be a South African. And South Africans, when they work abroad, or when they work on cruise ships, or when they work, are known to be hard workers, are known to be people that take great pride in their efforts. And if there's any reason, it's that. That's the number one reason. Did someone say my name? Hey, Joe. You have a Jovan to spend time with. That's the thing as well, Rabbit. I'm like already sold. Like I already want to do that. But I don't know if I want to do it this way. Right? That's the thing. I don't know if I want to do it this way. And we're talking about the whole refugee status because I don't know if I would qualify as a refugee because I'm not running for my life right now. Right now. Maybe I can give them my story, last year's story of like, eat plastic. Maybe I can tell them my story of what happened last year, right? Boom, ironclad story. I even have the police reports. It's starting to make more sense. I'm gonna stop. Yeah, stop, please. Melt America. Yes. I want to make a joke. But I don't think it's gonna land well right now because it's insensitive and also it's taking a dig at the version of us that is sensitive at the same time. Should I do it anyway? Maybe plug your ears, right? Like we know that there is another South African in America right now. Very in America right now. Very well known South African. And like people don't particularly jive with that fractal. And then there is this narrative, or maybe even not narrative, but this acknowledgement even that he's actually the real president. And then the joke I wanted to make was there's already a South African, the president of America, why not me? Oh, it is so bad. It's a bad joke. I'm sorry for even thinking it and for having told you it, but having given you the preface. Love is true. Maybe. But again, the whole refugee status thing, I don't know if I would qualify. But again, with the stories I have now, maybe I would. Maybe I'm underselling myself. You also have a Jovan to spend time with. This is true. Where do you go to the US Embassy in Johannesburg, I believe, or Centurion? Somewhere in Gauteng. I've been to the American Embassy before. It's in Johannesburg. To apply because 2 years ago we already had our tickets bought to America and everything, and then I got denied in the application process to be a tourist, right? Just to be a tourist. They were like, "Nah, fam, no, no, you cannot come here." Hi, Joe. Yes, I may have overstepped a bit with my assumptions. No, you were very honest with your assumptions, actually, LA. Like we've been talking about this, me and Jovan. It's a interesting dichotomy, right? I think the thing that I need to almost like hold in my mind is that there is the possibility of coming to America for a time, right? I don't have to go forever. Right? Like, I'm a very extreme person when it comes to my way of thinking. And in that extreme, forever is usually the thing I hit. Turn the narrative on its head. Oh, yeah. This may be the only way to do it. No, marriage is also an option. You drop that bomb on your friends quickly. You don't always get to choose your way. Sometimes it's just made for you. This is true. Chitla Anna. Mense het gister gesê hulle is impressed hoe jy jou emmer op jou kop dra. Ja. She says thank you. Anna with the balancing. Anna has Afrikaans as well. She can speak her native language, of course, but she speaks better Afrikaans than she speaks English. So when me and her talk to one another, we speak Afrikaans. When I showed her I had a conversation with the AI in Afrikaans. And the Afrikaans AI kind of has a black South African accent when they're talking Afrikaans as well, which is very interesting. Yeah, what a trip. You don't always get to choose your way. Hey, Peppy. Peppy also wants some scratches. Look at that tail. Scratchy, scratchy. Ah, ah, ah. Don't touch me. You have muddy feet. That sounds so mean when she does this thing where she's like, not when you have mud on your feet, please. She's so beautiful. I'll tell her that tomorrow as well. Give her more compliments. She said thank you for the compliment of you friends being impressed. Oh no overstepping. Be as off the wall as you can. Innocent chaos makes life interesting. Turn that narrative on his head, exactly. Pushing ourselves towards novelty. That is why we're here. We're not here to be bored, are we? We did talk about that yesterday. And I did acknowledge that there is some good to be had in being bored. However, we're not here for that. We can use that here, but we're not here for that. How does she speak Afrikaans? Because she works for white folks. She went to school. She went to school and she got an education. And South African schools, when she was going to school, no, no, no. There's an Eva too asking for some attention. We'll give her lovin's, but not touching me. Touching me. Oh, so much. Little kitty as well. Sweetie Evies. So yeah, South Africa, like Anna, I think is don't touch me. Anna, I think is 50. 50. I think Anna's 50. So she was going to school in the 1980s and late 80s. And during those times, school was pretty much, a guaranteed for everybody. Education was a very high priority. And because we're, partly at that point, South African, Afrikaans, South African ruling government, Afrikaans had to be a part of the curriculum. So Anna spoke Afrikaans in school. That's where she learned most of it. That's where she learned to speak Afrikaans. I can't even imagine the life that she must have lived. And we have conversations about it, but you can have as many conversations and you still can't imagine. She has a couple of kids. She has one kid that's like in his 20s, and then she has one who she had while she was here with us. I think he's 11 years old right now. Then she has a daughter too. That's in the middle of them. This world is so absurd. I've been diving into history as of late, uh, and watching how messed up things have been and for how long things have been messed up is stark. It's so stark, especially when you start looking at money. Holy shit. Did you know that capitalism was basically the thing that defeated the imperial slash arc? What's the word I'm looking for? Not the archetypal, monarchal, right? Where you're like a monarchy, where you're a king, where you're a ruler, where you're an emperor. Capitalism literally killed that as a possibility. Because instead of taxing your citizens, you would have them, the citizens, invest in something that they could see a return on. And then those things became so valuable that they had their entire armies, their entire outposts. Right? And I feel America is now kind of realizing that again, that countries won't survive, that there's going to be companies in the future. And the writing is a little bit on the wall. And the thing that I'm like feeling, and I don't know if I'm right, admittedly, but the thing I'm feeling is if you look at the progress we've made since that happened, right? It was a spice company, by the way. The first company, the first capitalist-based company was a spice company. And it became so powerful. So powerful. So quickly. Like that's the thing as well, like the speed at which it happened. And then in that power, there was a progress, right? And again, when people are in power, they try to progress their narrative. And I feel since we have so many companies, there are so many narratives. And in that way, it does technically encapsulate everything. Where government, by definition, only tries to encapsulate a very small group of things and control for that small group of things. Yeah, future. How about this future we're having? Has Anna been with your family for a long time? For about, I want to say, 15 years? I think it's been 15 years. When I was 10 years old, we moved here. And when we moved here, she asked us for work. And it's been like that ever since. She's an absolute superstar. One of the most hardworking people ever. She helps mom with her baking as well. And she gets a commission on every single cookie she bakes. So in our world, Anna is one of the top earners in her class. All right. I don't know if that's something to clap hands at, but Anna earns more cash than I do with my work. Not with my business, but with my streams and my art and my yoga classes. Anna earns more than me, which is awesome, right? That's the way it's supposed to be. Did she help raise you and your siblings? I mean, yes, I guess. I think it's like that fractal of it takes a village kind of mentality, right? It does take a village to raise a child. And she was a part of our, still is, continues to be a part of our village. Seeing how close all the history is after living a while, we have come a long way. Oh, yeah. Like, things are a lot better. Things are a lot better. I know, things look bad, but they are better. I think that's the thing as well. Like, we unfortunately, as a species, have become very hyper fixated on criticism and having a bias towards negativity. And it was an unfortunate consequence of our computers and our social media. Because anger, the emotion of anger, is very engaging, right? If I feel angry about something, I am more likely, statistically, to engage and let that person know this thing they said made me angry, and this is how they're wrong and stupid, right? That's literally how we are made, or how we are as beings, because again, we are tuned towards negative criticism because it's literally a threat to our survival. If you get attacked verbally or physically and you don't defend yourself, right? Usually it could spell doom for you. And now we are on the internet, and instead of that being something that is an occasional response, right, where things happen, mistakes are made, jealousy arises, and then I say something mean to you, right? I say something harmful, right? And then I feel my need to defend that. Now, with the internet, there is no of that like interpersonal depth or complexity. There is only the facelessness of being on the internet, and then also the incentive, right? We have been incentivized as a species to say the negative thing, right? Every single person that says some absolute hot garbage online towards another person would never, 99.99% of the time, say that exact same thing to that person to their face, especially not in the crowd, in an audience, right? In the same way we have an audience online, not in real life, because in real life you are not rewarded for being an asshole. Right? You might be rewarded in business, but you aren't rewarded in people, right? In social dynamics and in the growth that we kind of want from that. So, in that way, our whole media, our whole social kind of like interaction is weighted towards that negativity, towards that criticism. And in knowing that and in understanding that about our own selves and about this thing that we are interacting with at all times, the internet, today's stream topic is about the internet. It gives us a lot more nuance, I think is the right word. Not only nuance, but control maybe is even better. Like if you realize that you are now typing something because this person made you angry, just realize that and stop. And delete that message and exit out of that and continue on. Just like the more you do that, the more you grow that skill, right? The more in control you become of that. If I remember correctly, Anna was introduced to me as mom too. Yeah, Jovan actually got to meet Anna in person when she was here, seeing how close all the history is. It's true. It's the fast track to emotional strength, getting flooded with criticism until you find that it is your own opinion that matters. Others' opinions are not important. Yeah. It's very hard to reach that level of realizing others' opinions are not important. You should meet your own standard. Here comes me mother. I need to move. The machine. Sister was driving. Fast track to emotional maturity. Emotional strength. Hallo! Welkom terug. Nee, ek stream nog. Ek het net daar gesit waar jy gery het. Oh.
Jesus glo siek wees nie, so dit veel u.
Wonder of die koekies gaan sag.
Maar wat gebeur is daar?
Ja, dankie nog steeds, mamma. Ek waardeer die goeders wat lekker gaan wees. Dit is nie sleg nie. Dis net ja. All right, I don't know where to sit right now. Ek kan seker. Get this. Ons praat vandag oor die internet, mamma. En bietjie oor Anna ook. Ja, mense Let me speak in English so people can understand. I'm telling mom about you friends talking about Anna. Like they saw Anna yesterday with a big bucket on her head while she was walking. Yeah, and they're like, how she do that? And then today when she was walking past, I let her know that people were like, wow. And then they were asking, how long has Anna been with us? 18 years. So, like Shantae was 1 year old.
Ja, 3 maanden.
Shantae was 3 months old. So yeah, more cookie ASMR. It was more like it did have cookie kind of consistency and texture, but it was technically supposed to be a pretzel chip. So, yeah. Look at us. So dapper. This is a nice one. The internet. And our weighted bias towards negativity and criticism. I think it affected me. I think because my access to the internet has been as consistent as it has been, I have been, at least in some part, taught to be negative. Or not negative, let's say critical. To be very critical, right? It's almost like thinking from a perspective of like standards. That if you get like raised in a certain household, and in that household certain standards are met, and then you go into the world and you're in a place where those standards are not met, that lack of standard meeting can bring discomfort. Right? You hear what I'm saying? And the internet is such an extreme of that, exactly, that like standard meeting. And it goes both ways because it allows you to see both sides, right? You can see what the standard for bad is, and you can see what the standard for good is, according to our own society. And right now, it seems the standard for bad is poor, and the standard for good is rich. Right? And I had this conversation with Dad yesterday from the perspective of when someone is poor, we assume, and maybe even correctly so, that the world we're in hasn't valued that person enough to give them money. And if the world has deemed them not worthy of money, and we literally have been trained to think of our time as a like medium to move money, we cannot afford to waste our time on someone who cannot make money in this society. All right? It's almost like we've been painstakingly taught to be insane. To be absolutely insane. If you had to like explain to a cave person what we're in right now, what reality we're in right now, and the access we have to technology, right? Imagine trying to explain to a cave person what this thing is, right? And like maybe you figure out how to, maybe you succeed at explaining to this cave person that this thing exists in this time in history. And then try and explain to that cave person that while this thing exists at the same time, there are people dying of hunger. There are people getting bombed to smithereens. Right? Like, I think that part of it will make less sense than this part of it. Like, yeah, there's screens. Imagine it like little mini suns. And you can turn the sun on and off. And then, depending on the brightness value and depending on the color, you can make it show you images there. Okay. I could try and explain it, but I don't know how to explain the fact that we're just like, we don't care. I don't know how to explain that part, other than we've been taught how to. All right, and then who's telling us? I don't know if money is telling us directly. Money is just energy in that way again. Whew. Maybe it's again the old government fractal. All right. Someone needs us to keep going while they keep printing more and more and more. Thinking about the fract like this, I so many like different things about the whole money system and trust, right? At some point in Africa, glass beads were a form of money. And they were a form of money because they were, one, rare, and the people of that time did not have the technology to recreate. So nobody could make more of the money. However, the people that brought those beads in the first place were European settlers. And they had the technology to make the glass beads. So they literally just made as many of those glass beads as they could. And then they would go to Africa and they would buy slaves from warlords for glass beads that they can just make more of infinitely, right? I mean, to a point. But that's what they did. And in that way, like those European countries stole so much wealth from Africa because they couldn't be trusted with the money. They couldn't be trusted with the money. And then, a few hundred years pass and we have now the internet. And we had different forms of money. We had like paper money before we had the internet. And then we had the internet. And then our paper money kind of slowly, gradually migrated to becoming digital. And then the internet gave birth to something better, right? Something trustless. Decentralized ledgers. Everybody can see where the money goes. And we're now again at a point of history where it seems that whole subject is polarized. Right? Because it's this fractal of trust. It's literally this fractal of trust. Because usually when we had money and we would sell things and had value, we would trust people to also kind of like abide by the rules in that system. And now this new system does not require us, does not require us as people to trust another person, won't mess with it, all right? Because it's math-based. Like it's mathematics, and there's thousands of other people also doing the same math and making sure, checking over your shoulder and checking over their shoulder, making sure everybody is getting the same answer. And if everybody doesn't get the same answer, then that person doesn't become a part of the decentralized ledger. Like it's so absurd to me how far we came so quickly. And I had this conversation yesterday where I said, I believe things are actually getting better. But because of our access to information and access to the goings on of the world, it makes us come to conclusions that it's not. Right? And again, with the current tariffs and stuff, things getting more expensive for the consumer isn't exactly something that people won't realize, right? Something that people won't be affected by. But on the day-to-day life fractal, right? If I didn't have the internet, coming back to that, right? And I'm not saying leave the internet alone, but the point is, if we didn't have the internet, our lives would have been going on literally like nothing changed. Like not a single thing had changed. Because nothing has. But things are. And I believe that there is a incentive, right, towards a change that's going to help us fix our system. And I don't, for the what it's worth, I don't think the current presidency is the one that's going to fix that system. Just by the way, I think it's gonna be us. I think what we're seeing right now as a species, collectively, is making us come to conclusions like, oh wow, maybe we cannot rely on these people. Maybe it is gonna be up to us to come together. Maybe, right? That's kind of the way I see this time in our history. That's all I'm trying to observe from the internet. Is that Kristen too? Hey friends, nice seeing you. Mm-hmm. We all rock walls. We all the rock walls already there when you moved to the farm as a kid. Yeah, they were. Pretty much everything. It used to be pretty much rock walls everywhere, and then it got like plastered over. I'm not really a fan of the plastering over look. I like the rock walls. It is like, I think the whole house is built with those same rocks, like literally the whole house. I don't know if the scent. I think so, yeah. The very first time my dad had a touchscreen, it was still one of those capacitive touchscreens. Right? So you had to like push on it. And I would like stress out that I'm going to like damage the pixels or something. I remember that. It was weird at first. I couldn't remember which screens were touch and which weren't. Fingerprints on everything. Well, my talking is not smooth today. It's okay, friend. I couldn't figure out how to hold it without stopping what others were saying to show me. British and other Europeans did the same with the Native American tribes here. Beads and trinkets for land. Yeah. Right? And that's like, again, it's a trust thing. It's like, how did that happen? How are things the way they are right now? And you can go and look at it, right? Like, I'm asking this question not from a perspective of like not knowing, but from a perspective of like, how is that real? It's like when you really go and look at history, it's more absurd than you can imagine. It's so very absurd. So much war. So, so much war. I think we're gonna stop. I really do think we're gonna stop. I believe we're gonna stop warring. Because again, there's gonna be an incentive not to. For the first time ever. There's gonna be an incentive not to. All right. We fixed trust. That is gonna be the incentive not to. Because again, I feel like that's almost like the real crux of the problem is that people don't trust each other and then they want more. They want more either from the perspective of the person that they trusted or they want more and then they become the person that's untrustable. What a trip. I've been in lurk mode. I did enjoy the cookie ASMR. Love is true. I think it's time for us to finish this slice of the internet, this vertical one. And then we're going to start the horizontal one for a little bit. I appreciate you, friends, for taking a breath with me. The future is bright. It is. And we might go through some dark days, but that will be the contrast we need. What's up? What's up? Yeah. Love is true. I appreciate you, friends, for joining me. I'll see you in the next one.